What's up, everybody? It's Brandon. I'm back with another knee-jerk reaction review. This one is on a property that's kind of near and dear to me. It's not like my favorite horror franchise, but if you know me, I love slasher movies. And as much as I love the big three, outside of that, this could be my favorite horror franchise that's a slasher. I don't know. Either way, I'm a big fan. Here's actually what I'm reviewing, except it's the remake, the Slumber Party Massacre remake. So that, but the remake. Shit, I even happen to own 2 and 3 on Blu-ray, which, like, this shit runs for like $500 fucking dollars on Amazon, dude. It's ridiculous. This thing's like a fucking artifact now. Ugh, I can't get my hand to turn back that way. But yeah, if you can get your hands on this, you just came up on some money. But I can't part with it because I love Slumber Party Massacre 2 and 3. But how would I feel about the remake, 2021? Well, this is on Sci-Fi. That's kind of a red flag for me. I'd rather this just been like a movie that came out in theaters. But then again, it's like Slumber Party. Like, could they ever remake that and come out in theaters? Maybe it's just a little too goofy, even for, you know, the dumb horror movies we get. It's more of a straight-to-video type of franchise, if you ask me. And you know what? Chucky, the TV series that I've been reviewing, not too bad. And this, I gotta tell you, it did kind of recapture the nostalgic, crazy, so dumb that it's good and campy, cheesy vibe of a lot of these 80s flicks. I will give it that, because a lot of these movies that try to do and replicate what happened in the 80s, it just doesn't work so well nowadays. It's like back then, the way it was shot, the way it was with that 80s fucking aesthetic, it worked for some reason. It's like lightning in a bottle. Nobody can quantify these things. Nobody can explain these things. It does so well. You try to do that in like lower budget 2000 movies and beyond, 2000s, you know, the year 2000, 2000s and beyond. It does not work that well for me every time. Even like lower budget horror movies, if they're done to where like, oh my god, they maximize this budget, it looks fucking amazing, you could never tell, then it's very enjoyable for sure. But if it's like, wow, this is low budget as fuck and you can tell, a lot of times it doesn't work for me. But I think they did a good job of kind of, you know, capturing that lightning in a bottle about as good as you could. So I can definitely give it props for that. There's definitely some good kills here. The guy that played Russ Thorne, he was fucking dope. Definitely liked him until he talked. I think there's something about his delivery in this that I wasn't a big fan of. Like, something about Russ in the old ones, it was like creepy when he finally talked. It was like, oh my god. And this one, it was just like silly, you know, almost like, it didn't have the same creepiness. It just tried to be like, oh, let's make him weird. And it didn't work for me. Didn't like it as much. But the presence and the look of the killer, I thought fit with the first pretty good. I mean, he definitely has a different look. And this one, he's got blonde hair. In that one, he has dark hair. But for whatever reason, I could believe that this is the Slumber Party Massacre killer. I was on board. But like I said, the voice didn't really do it for me. Just something about it. It just didn't deliver at the same quality. Did not give off the same vibe that worked so well in the first one when he finally did talk. The kills, pretty damn good overall, especially for something on Sci-Fi. I mean, nothing spectacular, but there's a couple ones that are pretty gnarly that I did enjoy quite a bit. What else? I will say this, there's definitely some homoerotic stuff in this one, kind of, but not really. Like, there's nothing gay that per se happens, which is fine, of course. But it was kind of funny because I was sitting there where, like, me, I'm not homophobic at all, but even like some of this stuff like made me like uncomfortable. Like, there's a certain shower scene where a guy's just like rubbing down to some like sensual music, and it's like focusing on the suds that are slowly like dripping down his belly button. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, is this how like girls feel when they just seem to like, they like objectify these women? You know what I mean? Like, how that you could put it that way, like where guys are just like all over the scene, like, oh my god, look at her tits. Like, this is like vice versa, but for the women. So it's funny, I'm just like, is this like how like every girl I ever dated or every girl I've ever watched a movie feels deep down? Because even for me, I was like, this is kind of like a lot. It was hard to take in, but you know, didn't ruin the movie or anything. But I was just like, it's a little much. If anything, it kind of is like good in its own way, because it was kind of funny that they like flipped the script with that. And then there was one scene where they like had like all the guys like pillow fight, right. Like all the guys were smiling and pillow fighting. I don't know. It was just kind of odd, like the way they flipped that. I don't know. Like it's kind of cool the more I'm thinking about it because it makes sense to do it in a different way and a different vibe. But it was like also like, dude, this is what the fuck? Like, what guys do this? But then again, like it's like, do girls really pillow fight? I don't know, dude. I don't. It was just, it was just a little odd to me, like the way they handled that. Take it like it is. If you see the movie, you'll probably know what I'm talking about, or maybe you'll say I'm crazy. I don't know. And then, of course, the whole twist. The twist did not work for me at all. I didn't like it. It felt very predictable. It felt very like, man, you just came in and took a shit on this movie that was like good enough. Like I was going in expecting it to be a travesty. I was like, this is going to be absolutely terrible. And you know what? I'm fine. I'm walking away like this movie's all right. It's not the best. It's not the worst. But for what I was expecting, this isn't bad. I can actually maybe throw this on after I watch 1, 2, and 3. Like, you know, like it'd be one of those things I wouldn't go out of my way to ever watch it again. But if I watch 1, 2, and 3, I'm like, well, I'm already in the mood for some Slumber Party Massacre. Why not finishing out with the remake? But after this ending happened, man, I just wasn't feeling this movie at all. And then next thing you know, like the overall feel, I'm like, yeah, I started noticing other little things. You know what I mean? You ever have like an ending where you're like, oh, I'm not really feeling that. Well, what about that? And then, well, what about overall? I can't really recommend this movie as much as I wanted to be able to. I can't. Damn it, fell off a cliff for me a little bit. I give Slumber Party Massacre remake a 3.5 out of 10. I'm seeing a lot of mixed reviews on this one. I'll say that much. I was enjoying it. I think it might be worth a one-off watch. It's better than what it should have been, even still, for a sci-fi movie. Nothing sci-fi about this. Sci-fi channel movie. But in the end, it didn't deliver. It showed signs, but by the end of it, I still was like, God, I don't think I like this, do I? Started piecing it all together. Yeah, not a big fan of this one. Kind of let down. But also not really, because I was expecting that. Nah, I don't know. Complicated. Maybe I need to watch it again, people. But yeah, 3.5 out of 10 for me. I think I changed my rating already. Did I say 3 before? Oh, my God. I can't remember. Somewhere in that ballpark. Love you guys. See ya.